They didn't make a movie about Los Angeles. They challenged it to a duel. In 1985, To Live and Die in L.A. hit screens with the subtlety of a head-on collision. While Hollywood polished its cop thrillers to a formulaic shine, William Friedkin crafted something that refused to behave. This wasn't just a crime film. It was a hostile dissection of power, chaos, and moral collapse in the city of illusion. From illegal location shoots to a freeway chase filmed against traffic with no permits, the film blurs the line between cinematic daring and outright recklessness. Friedkin didn't use movie tricks. He used real people, real danger, and a raw aesthetic that felt like surveillance footage caught mid-collapse. And the heartbeat beneath it all? A synth-heavy soundtrack written by a band who had never scored anything before. But here's the problem. When a film bleeds this much reality, it begins to contaminate the truth. Where does performance end? When does method become manipulation? How many laws were quietly bent or broken to bring this story to life? Some of the film's most infamous moments weren't staged. Some of its darkest beats weren't scripted. And there are rumors that what we saw in theaters wasn't the full story. These are 20 weird facts you didn't know about To Live and Die in L.A., a film that didn't just cross the line. It never acknowledged one existed. Fact 1. The freeway chase wasn't staged, it was hijacked. Movie car chases usually follow a dance, blocked roads, stunt doubles, and controlled chaos. This one didn't. In To Live and Die in L.A., the 5-minute chase sequence against freeway traffic is one of the most disorienting ever filmed. But that sense of panic? It wasn't planned. It was earned. William Friedkin wanted viewers to feel true fear, not the rehearsed kind. So he orchestrated the chase without permits, filming on the I-710 while real traffic flowed in the opposite direction. No legal closure, no city authorization, just dawn light, hidden cameras, and the hope that no one would crash. The actors drove the vehicles themselves. Friedkin instructed the crew to make it look like the road turned against them, and it did. Several drivers not involved in the production can be seen in the final cut, veering off, confused and furious. The most unnerving part? Friedkin refused to rehearse the sequence in full. "You don't rehearse disaster," he said. "You survive it." Later, footage from the chase was reviewed by law enforcement not as film critique, but as evidence. No charges were filed. Somehow, when the fiction is that dangerous, can you still call it fiction? Fact 2. The lead role was recast, mid-shoot, and buried. Most productions lock their leads before the first frame. Friedkin wasn't interested in tradition. To Live and Die in L.A. began shooting with a different actor as Agent Richard Chance. He was experienced, bankable, but after a few days on set, Friedkin pulled the plug. He felt the performance lacked desperation, the edge of someone unraveling. He made a ruthless choice. The actor was dismissed, and William Peterson, a virtually unknown stage performer from Chicago, flew in to replace him. No auditions, no test footage, just instinct. Peterson's first day involved threatening a suspect at gunpoint on a live set, with a crew that barely knew his name. The pressure was real. The fear was useful. Peterson later admitted he channeled his own panic into the role. Friedkin never revealed the original actor's name. Some say it was due to legal agreements. Others believe it was an intentional erasure, a cinematic vanishing. The result? Peterson's portrayal feels unstable, volatile, and eerily unfiltered. Because sometimes, it's not about who plays the role, it's about who walks in when the door slams shut. Fact 3. The soundtrack was composed without watching the film. By 1985, most filmmakers paired their films with seasoned composers. Friedkin chose a synth-pop band with no experience in film scoring and gave them no footage to work from. Wang Chung, known for radio-friendly hits, was handed only the script and a vague directive: score the mood, don't think in scenes. Instead of composing to picture, the band built an atmospheric, synth-heavy album driven by tension and collapse. Friedkin later edited entire sequences around their tracks, cutting to the music, not the other way around. This reversal gave the film a heartbeat that didn't match conventional cues. Tension built where silence might have reigned. Explosions dropped without orchestral warning. It was unpredictable. It was invasive, and it worked. Critics at the time were divided. Some called it jarring. Others said it was the film's secret weapon. But Friedkin insisted Wang Chung understood the film's anxiety better than any veteran composer could. The band scored the city, not the story. And that's why the music still sounds like Los Angeles on the verge of collapse. Fact 4. The opening explosion came from a real tragedy. The film's opening sequence delivers a jolt. A Secret Service agent approaches a bomber and is obliterated. There's no lead-up, no slow tension, just sudden death. It feels brutally real. That's because it was drawn from something that actually happened. During Friedkin's research, he interviewed federal agents stationed in LA. One recounted the death of a bomb technician who misjudged a suspect. The man approached too confidently. A homemade explosive went off. There was nothing left to recover. Friedkin was shaken. That agent's story redefined the tone of his film. It's not about bravery, he said. It's about how thin the line is between action and annihilation. He rewrote the cold open to reflect that very moment, staging the death not as drama, but as abrupt disappearance. There's no hero's farewell, no final line. The scene plays cold, fast, and terrifyingly impersonal, just like the real thing. That wasn't creative license. That was Friedkin's tribute to a fatal mistake no one wanted to talk about again. Fact 5. Stunt doubles where forbidden fear was required. There's a reason the physicality in To Live and Die in LA feels raw. It wasn't choreographed. It was demanded. Friedkin informed his actors early on, no stunt doubles. You run, you jump, you fall, or you leave. William Peterson found himself hurdling over rooftops, climbing unstable fire escapes, and sprinting through traffic on camera, without rehearsal, but it didn't stop at stunts. The actors underwent training with real federal agents, firearms drills, interrogation scenarios, psychological pressure. Friedkin pushed them to live in the role, not just perform it. One actor twisted his ankle leaping from a ledge. Instead of delaying production, Friedkin kept filming and worked the injury into the story. For Friedkin, pain wasn't a side effect. It was texture. He didn't want clean performances. He wanted adrenaline-caught mid-flicker actors, caught between instinct and exhaustion. Because fear, when unfiltered, doesn't need a stuntman. Fact 6. The counterfeit money was too good to be legal. Prop money in most films follows strict rules. Off-size, altered faces, faded ink. Not here. Friedkin wanted authenticity, so he hired a former counterfeiter not just as a consultant, but as the on-set printing supervisor. Using real paper stock, precision inks, and federal-level techniques, the production created tens of thousands of fake bills. Every step of the process, etched plates, drying racks, hand inspection, was captured with documentary-level detail. It was so realistic, a crew member accidentally used one of the prop bills to pay at a gas station. The Secret Service launched an investigation. Thousands in prop cash were seized. Friedkin was forced to prove the intent was cinematic, not criminal. But by then, the damage was done. Rumors spread. Some believed a portion of the fake money had slipped into circulation. The film had accidentally mimicked the crime too perfectly. It wasn't movie magic. It was forgery filmed in real time. Fact 7. One scene nearly got the film banned. Sex scenes in cinema are rarely subtle, but To Live and Die in L.A. crossed a line few others dared. In a scene between William Peterson and Darlan Flugel, the intimacy is transactional, stripped of affection, layered in dominance. It's not about romance, it's about control. The characters don't speak softly, they don't connect, they negotiate with bodies. When the MPAA reviewed the cut, the violence, gunplay, and language passed. But this scene? Immediate X rating. Friedkin argued that the discomfort was the point, that the absence of emotional connection reflected the decay of trust and identity. The board didn't care. The studio panicked. Friedkin compromised, removing a few seconds of rhythm and shadow. That was enough to secure an R. Years later, critics re-evaluated the scene as one of the most psychologically unsettling depictions of sex in any action film of the decade. Not because of nudity, but because of how little it resembled desire. Apparently, emotional honesty can be more offensive than graphic violence. Fact 8. Willem Dafoe didn't just play an artist, he became one. In To Live and Die in L.A., the villain isn't just a counterfeiter, he's also a failed painter, surrounded by burned canvases and chaotic brushwork. But those weren't set dressing, they were real works made by Dafoe himself. Friedkin gave him creative freedom, no guidelines, no art director. Just paint what this man would paint. Dafoe dove into underground galleries, studied LA art collectives, and produced a series of aggressive, fractured canvases. Many were destroyed on set, burned, slashed, or drowned in paint. These weren't for the camera, they were character study manifested in oil and canvas. One crew member said Dafoe wouldn't allow assistants to touch the pieces. They weren't props, they were part of him. And in the film, that's exactly what they look like. The internal rot of a man projected outward, smoldering, ugly, and impossible to fake. Fact 9. The ending was changed because audiences didn't know how to feel. Friedkin's original ending was stripped bare. No music, no heroism, just an empty office and a sense of irreversible loss. It was final, unapologetic. But test audiences didn't applaud. They sat in silence, confused. Some even laughed nervously. Executives pushed for something with clarity. Friedkin refused. Instead, he rewrote. In the final cut, we see a younger agent walk into the office, now taking over the role left behind by the dead protagonist. He moves the same, speaks the same, wears the same look of invincibility. The message isn't hope, it's repetition. Friedkin didn't deliver a happy ending. He delivered a cycle. Institutions don't change, they absorb. Corruption doesn't die, it's inherited. The new ending didn't explain anything. It made the silence louder. Fact 10. A federal agent helped stage the violence quietly. To give the film its razor-sharp authenticity, Friedkin didn't just rely on research. He went straight to the source. A current U.S. Secret Service agent, still active at the time, was brought in as an unofficial advisor. He worked behind the scenes, showing actors how to hold weapons, how real raids unfold, and what it looks like when a room is cleared in 5 seconds flat. He choreographed sequences that feel startlingly precise. The body positioning, hand signals, even the timing of radio calls. These weren't guesses, they were procedures used in the field. The agent declined on-screen credit. He wasn't authorized to participate. When asked why he agreed, he reportedly said, "Better they get it right." His input changed the tone of the action. It didn't feel cinematic. It felt clinical. And for a few days, To Live and Die in L.A. became the most accurate training simulation ever disguised as fiction. Fact 11. One scene caught a real crime on camera. While filming a nighttime scene in an industrial section of Los Angeles, the crew set up lights and rolled cameras without attracting much attention. The area was rough but quiet, perfect for atmosphere. Then someone sprinted through the background. A parked car's window shattered. Within seconds, the figure was inside, rifling through the glove box. It wasn't a stunt. It was a real car theft, unfolding live during production. The actors held their marks. The camera kept running. An off-duty police advisor on set radioed in the incident. Officers responded and arrested. The thief just blocks away. He had no idea he'd been caught on 35mm. Friedkin kept the footage. It was never used in the final cut. But that night, the crew realized something strange. They weren't just making a film about crime, they were shooting inside it. Fact 12. Friedkin banned storyboards and the crew lost their minds. Most productions are meticulous. Shot lists, angles, blocking diagrams. Not here. Friedkin chose spontaneity. He banned traditional storyboards, opting to design scenes on the fly, often minutes before filming. He walked the space with his DP, found the energy, and then shot from instinct. It terrified his crew. Lighting setups were scrapped and rebuilt. Camera operators scrambled to reframe. Prop placement changed constantly. In one rooftop scene, the sun had already moved by the time they were ready. Friedkin ordered the entire setup flipped to chase the new light. They reset everything in under 15 minutes. The chaos wasn't random. It was deliberate. Friedkin believed that overplanning killed surprise and that unpredictability was the only way to make tension feel real. To outsiders, it looked like disorder. But on screen, it felt like danger, and that was the point. Fact 13. The airport sequence was shot in secret during business hours. For most films, shooting inside an airport requires weeks of planning, permits, and coordination with law enforcement. Friedkin didn't wait. Denied permission to film at LAX, the crew chose another route. Go in anyway. Disguised with minimal gear and hidden microphones, the cast and skeleton crew walked into a functioning terminal and shot the scene as if they were commuters. The actors performed their lines softly, cameras rolled discreetly, and the entire chase sequence was captured amid real passengers and employees. There were no extras. The background isn't filled with trained actors. It's filled with unaware civilians going about their day. When airport security grew suspicious, the team packed up and left before questions could be asked. 2 camera assistants were briefly questioned later, but no charges were filed. It was guerrilla filmmaking on federal property, and no one stopped them. Fact 14. They reused blood packs because the budget was gone. By the second month of shooting, the film's money had all but dried up. Most of it had gone to car stunts, locations, and legal smoothing over. But there was a problem. Key shootout scenes still hadn't been filmed, and they had no fresh squibs or blood pack. The effects team improvised. They cleaned used squibs, repacked old shirts, and hand-filled tubing with leftover fake blood. Actors were instructed not to miss their marks. There would be no second takes. Friedkin didn't flinch. One scene misfired. Instead of reshooting, he revised the blocking mid-shot to incorporate the failure. The results? Jagged, messy, visceral. exactly what he wanted. In a film about decay and desperation, it made sense that even the wounds were stitched together from scraps. Fact 15. The FBI thought the film was teaching criminals. After a private screening attended by several federal agencies, Friedkin was pulled aside by a senior FBI official. The message was clear: this is too accurate. The Bureau was alarmed by the detail in the counterfeiting sequences, the chemicals, the tools, the process. According to the agent, the film could double as a how-to guide for aspiring forgers. Friedkin defended his choices. He argued that realism gave the story weight, that audiences weren't watching to learn, they were watching to fear. But the timing was unfortunate. In the weeks following the film's release, several small counterfeiting rings were busted across the West Coast. Their methods, almost identical to what To Live and Die in LA had shown. No connection was proven, but internal memos circulated inside the FBI and Secret Service, warning agents about cinematic replication. Sometimes, it's not the lies in film that worry authorities. It's the truth said too clearly. Fact 16. One scene was filmed inside a real drug den. Instead of building a set that looked like a crack house, Friedkin found the real thing. The location was in south-central Los Angeles, an abandoned structure still frequented by addicts and dealers. Friedkin's location scout warned him the space was unstable, and the presence of outsiders could trigger unwanted attention. Friedkin shrugged. The actors were briefed. The crew brought only bare essentials. Lights were kept low. Boom mics were hidden. They filmed quickly, just 2 takes. In the background, actual voices argued through broken walls. One actor visibly flinched. That take made the final cut. No permits, no security detail, just cinema pressed against the edge of real danger. When the scene wrapped, the crew packed in silence. No one cheered, no one clapped. The air was thick with smoke and unease, because for a moment, the line between production and reality ceased to matter. Fact 17. The studio tried to rename the film and lost. Before its release, the executives at MGM grew nervous. The title To Live and Die in L.A. felt too bleak, too poetic, and far too vague for a mainstream audience. They proposed alternatives: The Counterfeit Game, Angels, and Agents, even Burnout. Friedkin rejected them all. He argued that the title was the thesis. L.A. wasn't just the setting, it was the trap. Living there meant compromise. Dying there meant failure. The title framed the film's moral collapse. When they pushed harder, Friedkin drew a line. Change the title, and I walk. It worked. The original title stayed. And years later, it became more than a film title. It became a phrase that captured the entire mood of 1,980 Seconds Urban Decay. Fact 18. One character was supposed to die until test audiences saved him. John Pankow's rookie agent wasn't meant to survive. In the original script, he was killed in a botched operation, reinforcing the theme that idealism gets buried in LA's machinery of power. But test screenings shifted everything. Audiences didn't see him as naive. They saw him as human. They needed someone to hold on to. Friedkin adjusted. Instead of killing the rookie, he let him live, but changed him. In the final moments, he walks into the office, changed, colder, mirroring the man he once followed. It wasn't a survival arc, it was a mutation. Because in Friedkin's world, you don't escape corruption, you inherit it. Fact 19. The original poster was pulled from public display. Before To Live and Die in L.A. hit theaters, the studio unveiled a poster drenched in mood, a silhouetted figure with a gun, bathed in sunset light, flanked by counterfeit bills fluttering like confetti. The tagline? The Secret Service isn't just about the president. It wasn't received well. Transit authorities in multiple cities, including Boston and Cincinnati, refused to run the poster in public spaces. Bus stops, subway platforms, airport kiosks all blacklisted the image. Officials called it subversive, hostile, and likely to incite distrust. One city councilman even suggested the artwork glorified rogue government agents. The irony, of course, was that that was the point. Friedkin didn't apologize. He called the pushback validation. The studio quietly leaned into the controversy, printing extra copies for collectors and media outlets. Soon, the banned poster became a cult artifact. If your film's marketing is considered dangerous, you've probably told the right story. Fact 20. Friedkin admitted there's a lost version, then never spoke of it again. During a film festival panel in the mid-2000s, Friedkin made an offhand comment that instantly changed how fans viewed the film. There's a version of To Live and Die in LA that no one's ever seen, he said, not even the studio. When pressed, he smiled and moved on. No details, no timeline, no follow-up. Rumors exploded. Some claimed it was a darker cut, where the rookie dies and the ending collapses into silence. Others believe it included more graphic violence or unapproved music cues. A few insiders whispered about a print kept in Friedkin's private archive, unmarked, unreleased. But no proof has surfaced. No reels, no leaked footage, just one cryptic sentence, and the silence that followed. Was he teasing? Or protecting something that was never meant to be seen? Bonus fact: the fire was real, and so was the loss. In one of the film's quietest yet most disturbing scenes, Willem Dafoe's character sets fire to a canvas and watches it disintegrate. There's no music, no dialogue, just the slow, deliberate erasure of something once created. What most viewers don't know is that the painting was not a prop. It was one of several pieces Dafoe had made himself, artwork he'd developed while building the psychology of his character. He painted alone, late at night, trying to get inside the mind of a man unraveling. No one told him it would be destroyed. During filming, Dafoe lit the match on impulse. The script called for an emotional breakdown. Instead of shouting or pacing, he chose fire, and Friedkin let the cameras roll. No one interrupted. No one yelled, "Cut." Even after the flames overtook the frame, the set stayed still. Crew members watched the image dissolve into smoke, both on the canvas and in real time. Friedkin used the take without edits. When asked about it later, Dafoe reportedly said, "It felt right. It felt like what he would do." Some call it performance, others call it sacrifice. Because in To Live and Die in LA, the most honest destruction didn't come from bullets or betrayal. It came from an artist, quietly erasing himself in front of a lens. Which moment blurred the line for you? The chase without permits, the counterfeit money too real to ignore, or the painting that vanished in real flames? Tell us which fact from To Live and Die in LA felt the most unsettling, and which film you'd like us to take apart next. Frame by Dangerous Frame.